Hello and welcome back to another EonTalk movie review. Following the Man Standing Next review, I have prepared another video movie review of another January released film, Hitman, Agent Jun. As mentioned in the previous review, Lunar New Year is a very hot time for movie watching in Korea, as the holiday is very family centric and lots of families watch movies together during this time. Thus, this is one of the hottest times for movies to be released. Alongside Hitman, Agent Jun, and The Man Standing Next, there were two other Korean movies released in the month of January 2020, Secret Zoo and Mr. Zoo The Missing VIP. I have a written review of Mr. Zoo The Missing VIP up on the EonTalk website, so be sure to check that out as well. Also, I've started a Patreon account, so if you love the content that I create, I'd very much appreciate it if you could support me on Patreon as well. That being said, let's get right into today's video. Today, I'll be reviewing the action comedy Hitman, Agent Jun. Hitman, Agent Jun stars Kwon, Jun-Ho, 황우슬혜, Yi-Kyung, and Ji-Won and was directed by Woo-Seul-Hye. This was the first movie I've seen that was directed by him, and I believe he hasn't had a big hit prior to it. Hitman, Agent Jun is an action comedy that's been receiving good reaction online, and I found that it had a lot of similar factors as Extreme Job. I'll get into more details later. First, let's take a look at what the movie is about. Assassin Jun was a legendary secret agent of the Korean NIS. That is, until he faked his own death and escaped the eyes of the agency. The reason? Because he wanted to pursue his lifelong dream of being a webcomic artist. But he soon finds reality to be very difficult, as every work he produces receives massively negative reaction. After a night of heavy drinking, Agent Jun creates a new webcomic series in a drunk state. The topic? About his past life of being a secret agent. The webcomic becomes an instant hit, but Jun soon realizes he had just revealed Class 1 confidential info of South Korea. As word of mouth spreads and the webcomic receives more and more attention, the NIS and the terrorist group he fought against in the past begins to chase his tail. All he wanted to do was live a normal life, but his secret life begins to unravel new circumstances. To be completely honest, I had low expectations of this movie. However, I've learned from past experiences not to judge a movie before watching. Some of the best movies I've seen were ones that I had very low expectations for, such as Exit and Swing Kids. Therefore, I decided to give Hitman Agent Jun a go, especially since it's been receiving positive feedback online. Of course, with this type of movie, there's a certain level of unrealistic elements to be expected. And I accept that. Yes, the movie has very unrealistic parts, but it also has a degree of realism that partially makes up for it. For example, the way it shows what people need to go through with career choices, future, choosing between dream and reality, issues with money, were all there and very real. Furthermore, its unrealistic elements was done on purpose. It's where the comedy and humor of the movie is derived from. Whether I enjoy this is a different story that I'll get to later. Also, the movie is unique in that it had a good mix of live action and animation. Because the movie is partially based on the main character being a webcomic artist, the movie had lots of parts that were animated. This was a new approach that I thought was different in a good way. I can't say that the movie starts off very strong, but it gradually does start to get your attention, and it gets a lot more entertaining about an hour into it. I won't give too much detail in order to refrain from giving spoilers, but the movie does get better once the action really starts to pick up. And once it does pick up, the action sequences were really good. Kwon-Ho's action performance was great. As mentioned before, the movie has a sense of unrealistic elements. However, I believe that as long as it's able to execute in a manner that can justify the unrealistic elements, and has other factors that can make up for that aspect, that it's done correctly. However, much like Extreme Job, it had cheesy and over-the-top comedy that doesn't match my taste of humor. I know a lot of people enjoyed Extreme Job, so much so that the EonTalk community voted Extreme Job to be the best comedy of 2019 in the EonTalk Movie Awards. However, as I mentioned in that video, as well as in my written review of the movie, the humor did not match my liking, and I thought it was way too over the top and cringy. Hitman Agent Jun is just the same, especially the last 30 minutes of the film. The comedy felt forced, and there were parts that felt like it was trying too hard to be emotional, even if it was in a comedic way. With the cast lineup it has, the acting wasn't the best. Kwon Sang-woo's action sequences were great, but apart from that, I can't say the acting performances were anything more than adequate. I especially dislike the acting of Sung-tae, who plays the head of the NIS. His acting was so over the top and it just felt like he was screaming the whole time. I'll be honest, it got really annoying. Such an angry little man. The humor felt very forced and over the top, similar to that of Extreme Job. The type of comedy was so similar to Extreme Job that I wouldn't have been surprised if they titled it Extreme Job 2. However, I do acknowledge that this is just my personal taste and that there's a lot of people that highly enjoy this type of comedic films. The over-the-top on purpose type of comedy. I believe the movie is good for a light watch, so go into it without too much expectation. The story itself isn't anything new and is pretty predictable, but this is something that I recommend watching with the entire family as a light watch. I'll give Hitman Agent Jun a ticket price value of $8. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to show me your support. I've also recently started a Patreon, so if you love the content that I produce, please show me your support on Patreon as well. Thank you to everyone that watched till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.